Welcome back, guys. This is the final segment of this Wednesday edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. Again, coming soon next month in September. We're going to 2 hours during the week. So everybody's wishes and desires have been fulfilled and granted. You will have an extra hour of me every Wednesday and every Friday. All right. Since we're limited on time here in the last segment, I'm going to finish up with the London riots. And I want to play something for you really quick. The supposed shooting death that started the first riot and then all these copycat riots, took off from. The shooting death is now really, I don't even know how to say it. It's shady is the slightest way of putting it. Okay, check it out.
If all this was apparently triggered by the shooting of Mark Duggan on Thursday evening, it's perhaps surprising that only 3 people have left flowers at the place where he died. IPCC investigators arrived on the scene at 9 p.m., almost 3 hours after the shooting. But 5 days into their inquiry, the information vacuum means that conspiracy theories are growing about how Mark Duggan died. The IPCC are appealing for witnesses, but suggestions that a bullet which was lodged in a police radio was one of their own and had not been fired from another weapon has raised more awkward questions. But people who live nearby told me that a police surveillance vehicle had been filming the road for several days before the shooting. They claim to have seen armed plainclothes police hiding in bushes nearby and say the taxi in which Mark Duggan was a passenger was taken away from the scene before being brought back later for more tests. And while the rumour mill continues to churn out theories, the local MP wants the facts.
Clearly, when a man dies in that manner on a London street, there are big questions, and we see speculation in the media today. I know no more, but there are some serious answers about what the nature of the operation was in Tottenham, because it was not a operation led by Tottenham police, it was led by Operation Trident centrally.
It may be the middle of the week before the centre of Tottenham is reopened to the public. Community leaders here think it's important that the Metropolitan Police, or the IPCC, open up by then too.
There you go. A mainstream news report right out of Britain telling you that they were up to something. They were videoing the area where this kid was shot. What did this guy know? Did he see something or know something that he shouldn't have? Because they say, he was shooting at the cops. Turns out, no, he wasn't. He wasn't shooting at the cops. The bullet that was lodged in the cop's radio that was at first said to have been from Mark, the gunman. Oh, it wasn't his. It was a police bullet. Well, explain that one. Talk about jumping the shark. See, they don't pay attention. The media, this is why I say you have to pay attention to the news reports when things happen, when they first come out, but then you got to watch for the next couple days before you give it 72 hours, because usually within 3 days, the facts start to change. Look at the whole Navy SEAL thing, same thing. The facts will change and the story will change, and that's how you can catch them lying, because obviously one or the other might be the truth. None of it might be the truth. It could all be a contrived farce. Like my mother used to tell me, it's easier to remember the truth than it is a lie, because the truth really happened, so it's etched in your memory. You're going to remember it. Whereas a lie you made up on the spot, and 4 or 5 years down the road, you could forget what your lie is. But the people you told it to aren't, because they're remembering it because they had that experience with you, and your story is being etched into their brain. So they remember your lie, but you don't. And that's how people get caught. That little tidbit of advice from my mother really woke me up. And I was a young kid when she told me that. And that I used that to watch people, engage people. Look at Richard Nixon with the John F. Kennedy assassination. If you go through the research, he's said on 2 different occasions that he was in 2 different locations when he found out about the JFK assassination. And he was on record in Dallas. But he says one time he says he was in Dallas, another time he said he was in New York. Just not to get off on a tangent, but that's just a small example. Okay, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of others. All right. It's just, I want you guys to look into the London riots more than just with, these people are pissed off, they're rioting and taking sides. Because that's what they want. See, they're creating chaos, then they're creating division inside the chaos, and then they come in and they create the order. So remember, the Illuminati, their motto is order out of chaos. And they usually create the chaos first, and then we're your saviors, we have the answer. You know, I got to tell you, I got to make this point. These kind of things wouldn't happen. I mean, we're going to have riots in the United States, I'm sure. You know, people will, get pissed and have food riots or whatever. But you see how things are getting out of control where they're burning complete buildings to the ground and people are getting yanked out of their cars? That kind of stuff's only going to happen in northern states where it's against the law to own a gun. Because I can tell you, down here in the South, hurricanes hit, we don't have the same kind of problems, I've seen. We were without power for over a week when Hurricane Wilma came through, which was about a month and a half after Katrina. It came through here as a Category 2 storm, and it did a lot of wind damage. There was more wind than rain, and it really tore the hell out of South Florida. We had like 120-mile-an-hour sustained winds. It's a pretty powerful storm. We didn't have power for over a week. Do you know how we reacted? People in the apartment complexes were bringing grills outside, and everybody was coming down and having like an organized get-together. People were trading hamburgers for candles and stuff and helping each other. And everybody has guns down here. So, yeah, there were reports of looting and stuff, but those reports, it wasn't really, I mean, I guess you could consider it looting. It was a couple small incidents of people breaking into houses where the families had abandoned them and left. They weren't breaking into people's houses that were armed. Down here, it's a fixture to see plywood on the front door. It says, violent trespassers will be shot. That's the way it is. That's the way it should be. These people, and then you got vigilantes, they are standing up with bats and stuff now, but they're getting run over by all these scumbags and cars and stuff. No. You have a gun, you can shoot the prick through the windshield. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying people should go out and riot and everything else. But when all hell breaks loose, it's good to have that weapon because you can defend yourself from the idiots that are out there. I guarantee you if these shop owners were standing out in front of their shops with AR-15s and they said, oh, hell no. Remember, you can hit somebody with an AR-15 at a distance. These people, look, on a fundamental level, they understand this. Okay, I'm telling you. I've had my own experiences with firearms. I've had to draw down on people before. And I'm going to tell you, nobody wants you. If you have a weapon, nobody ever wants to deal with that. Trust me. I had a moron that tried robbing me and a friend of mine, and he had a toy gun. When people ask me, some of my friends have heard this story before. Long story short, he had a toy gun in his waistband. When he pulled his shirt up, I looked at it, and I've been around guns my whole life. I was in the military. I was a gunner's mate. So... Well, I was going gunner's mate, and I ended up having to strike damage controlman because I couldn't go to A school because I got injured. And also, the military guys will understand what I just said. Anyway, I trained as a gunner's mate first, and all my quals were done. And I worked at the armory. That was one of my jobs. I taught people how to shoot tactically with pistols and shotguns and everything else. So I know guns, and I was raised around guns. When this guy pulled his shirt up, I noticed. Second flashed in my head, looks like a toy gun. So I drew my weapon. And when I drew my weapon, I said to him, look, I got one too, but mine's real. And I drew down on him, and as soon as I drew down on him, he dropped his shirt, screamed like a little girl, and ran. So I reholstered my weapon, and then I called 911 because I was like, well, I got to get the guy, this guy's nuts. I knew he was a crackhead. And the store owner that it happened in front of his store, he came out and told me the guy had robbed somebody the day before. So I was like, all right, now I got to call the cops. So I called Johnny Law, and I knew usually when you call the cops, it takes them 45 minutes to come out. Long story short, I told them there was some moron waving a gun around, and every cop under the sun in South Beach rolled out. So, but you see, I handled my business, and then I called the cops in for cleanup. That's how you handle your business. So, long story short, if people had their own weapons and they were able to defend themselves, they would not be able – you wouldn't have this freaking problem. I mean, yeah, you're going to have rioters and looting and stuff like that, but it's going to be a lot less of a problem because inherently people don't want to get shot and get killed over something stupid. They understand that. That fight or flight syndrome kicks in. Trust me, I'm telling you, nobody wants to get a gun aimed at them. Most of the time, people are big, tough talkers until a weapon of some sort, like a bat, well, maybe you can pull the bat out of the guy's hands. But a gun, that's a different story. Everybody understands that a gun makes everybody equal. So I urge you people, if there's, to the listeners, if you're in an area where you can legally buy a firearm, even though the Second Amendment makes it legal, go out and legally purchase a firearm, practice with it, and just keep it to protect yourself and your family, if nothing else, against lawlessness. Because when this crap happens here in the States, you're going to wish that you had a gun to defend yourself. I know a lot of people that have turned around and, they used to be anti-gun, and after they were raped or they watched someone in their family get stabbed or, mugged or the crap kicked out of them or a home invasion, they go out and buy guns. It's sad that it takes that for people to realize that you have a right to defend yourself. It's natural law. You invade my space, you try to hurt me, my loved ones, or my friends, and you just signed your ticket to get, punched off the planet. You just punched your ticket. You're out of here. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out for the show. Again, look at the London riots from 15 feet back. Take a couple steps back and look at it. I think there's more to it. That's my personal, professional opinion. I'll see you guys Friday. Love you all. Thanks for listening.